Hello everyone. Oh, it's a shame I seem to have cut to the end of this fanfic. Let's go back to the beginning. So tonight we're going to do an impromptu reading. This was not planned. This is not a Patreon reading. Occasionally I'll just read a fanfic that just comes out of nowhere. So let's go ahead. Let's read this one. This one is from Locke on my Discord. I just made a post on my Discord that said, hey, you know, who's got a bad fan fiction? Just someone send it to me. You know, here we go. Here we go. So how are you guys doing? You guys having a good time? I'm glad that you guys are having, you know, you're having a good time. You guys are, it's good. It's good to see you guys popping in here. Let's see. It's called Street Racers Terminology by Distressed Moonchild. Distressed, you know, Moonchild would have been good enough of a name. A little bit hippie-ish. Well, fine. This is cursed. I wouldn't go that far. Title: Street Racers Terminology. Author: Moonchild in Distress. You're giving me mixed signals because that's not your name up here. Fandom: Initial D. Rating: R. Pairing: at least they're giving us a straight up, you know, who's gonna be with who. You know, it's not, you know, all suspense is out the window now. Takahashi Keisuke, Fujiwara Takumi, implied Suduo Kyochi, Takahashi Ryusuke. You know, holy shit! I didn't realize you were streaming. Yeah, you know, tonight's an impromptu stream. I'm in a streaming mood. You know. Now, I don't actually know shit about Initial D. I don't know. You know, I was gonna read an iCarly fan fiction called Christ, what was it even called? I Become a Bad Boy, an iCarly fanfic about Freddy becoming a bad boy to impress Carly, but this was suggested, so, you know, why not? I always love taking suggestions that you guys send me, and as the title says, everyone loves, you know, listening to Initial D gay fanfic, so how can you say no? But I've been in a streaming mood since my birthday yesterday. I'm just in such a good mood. We're just gonna do tons of streams all the time. At least that's, if my life was perfect, that's what it would be. Let's see. Summary. Oh, genre romance. Summary. Takumi wants answers and receives some unexpected ones. Set somewhere around the era of the 4th stage, I guess. None of this means anything, or not. I don't understand any of this. I don't understand any of what's happening. Disclaimer, I'm just borrowing them. Will return mostly undamaged. Honest. What does that mean? Author's note. My gratitude goes to my best friend Sherry, who definitely deserves a better Keisuke Takumi fic than this one, for her extremely helpful commentary, and to my anonymous super beta who patiently edited the story, despite thinking that it sucks. All feedback will be very much appreciated. Alright. Took me like a few years to learn that Initial D was a band and not a game. Initial Band was an anime. Oh, it's an anime? I thought it was a band. I thought Initial D was a band. But it was like also like an anime / movie. Is it not both? It's the one with the cars, right? They say they got deja vu. That's all I know about it. You know? That and gas. I mean, well, gas isn't, you know, that's by manual, I guess. Gas is better than Deja Vu, by the way. Except for the intro. The intro of Gas is not that great. Let's see. Street Ranger story. Let's just go in. Let's go in. We've been dicking around for 4 minutes. Let's go in here. Don't think. Stick to activities you are more familiar with, Takahashi Keisuke had once exclaimed, after Takumi had taken it upon himself to make some adjustments in 86's engine and kept their team's mechanics occupied for several hours with correcting the inflicted damage. Now, Takumi saw the wisdom in his advice. Though back then, he thought of it as an insult. Thinking led to asking questions, which led to receiving answers, which he didn't expect. And attention, which he expected even less. The familiar, ominous-looking Evo 3 slid into the garage. Is that a vehicle? I don't know anything about anime, guys. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Suduo stayed inside, greeting them with an abrupt nod. Takahashi Ryusuke was the first to approach the visitor. I'm sure I'm butchering all of these fucking names. I'm sure I'm butchering everyone, and I don't even care. I don't even care. I'll butcher everything in every language imaginable. You can't fucking stop me. Before anybody else reacted, he opened the Evo's front door and tossed a "We'll continue tomorrow," and his car keys over his shoulder to the stunned audience. and jumped into the passenger seat. The car left immediately. Puzzled looks and murmurs were exchanged. Takumi stayed quiet. Past experience showed that his questions usually sounded so ridiculous that they were laughed at rather than answered. Things had been this way before and haven't changed, even after the racing bug caught under his skin and he allowed himself to be sucked into the world of fantastic cars and people with infuriating attitudes. Are people who drive cars, are they known for their shitty attitudes? Takumi assumed that there would be another challenge. Oh, Jesus. Kyoichi? I'm pretty sure it's Kyoichi. We're just gonna go with that. We're gonna go with Kyoichi. Did Kyoichi want a rematch with him? The formidable driver took his rare losses as offenses and was always determined to get revenge. Would Ryosuke accept the challenge on Takumi's behalf? If that was what Kyoichi was after this time? Or was this meeting about the Emperor? The Emperor leader joining Project D. Sorry, I just like to imagine Emperor Palpatine. I went to a game store yesterday. You know, local game and hobby place, Retro Games Plus. And they just had this fucking figure of Palpatine from the prequels. And it just says in big, bold, capital red letters that, like, is just prominent on the fucking plastic with this figure. It takes up most of the packaging. It just says Supreme Chancellor on it. And it's just really fucking silly looking. Your boy Ben, you're welcome, Tony. I appreciate it. I appreciate you sending me such quality writings. I wish I could be called Supreme Chancellor. That's what I should have had you guys call me instead of, you know, everybody calls me Dad. Everybody, you know, I'm the dad of the chat. Everybody calls me Daddy Tony. I should have been Supreme Chancellor Tony. I really fucked up. No. Proud and somber Sadua Kyoichi, taking orders from Ryosuke, Takumi's imagination refused to stretch this far. But I know a part of him that can stretch pretty wide, and I'm hoping that happens in this fanfic. The only other person not participating in the discussion of the mysterious visit was Kaisuke, which made sense. Most likely he had an explanation to the mystery, but wouldn't disclose it without his elder brother's approval. Or he could just do it. The opportunity to get an answer arrived during their next practice. As usual, Kaisuke chose to stay behind to make a couple of extra runs, when everybody else was about to quit. Whether he was really that much determined to improve his driving, or just wanted to demonstrate that he treated racing far more seriously than anyone else, Takumi in particular, remained unclear. This time around, Takumi, it's all these names, they're really fucking me up, declared his intention to do the same, purposely ignoring Kaisuke's indignant glare. In the middle of their second run, Takumi halted the car at the sight of the immobile FR, and its driver sitting on the grass near it. At Kaisuke's invited hand wave, Takumi walked out and joined them. We should find another course for training. I don't know about you, but I feel I could go through this one with my eyes closed. Apparently, noticing surprise in Takumi's eyes, Kaisuke stopped. What? I thought you were going to invite me to race with you, Takumi admitted. No can do. Sorry. There was sincere regret in the racer's voice. Bro says competitions between us would disrupt the harmony of the well-balanced team. The phrase sounded like something Kaisuke had been forced to learn by heart. Ryosuke must have been very determined about inculcating the restriction... Is that a real word? Into Kaisuke's mind. I'm sure it is, but I'm too stupid to know it. But if you really want to race, Kaisuke started hopefully, it's not a good idea. If Ryosuke-sans disapproves, we shouldn't. You always do what Ryosuke says. I think we have to trust him in these questions. He never makes mistakes. He does too! Takumi's eyes widened in disbelief. Name one. A long pause. Well, once he brought me kiwi ice cream instead of pistachio. The fuck? Kiwi ice cream isn't a thing. That's not a fuck... First of all, it's not a mistake anybody would say. Number two, that's bullshit. I love you, Supreme Chancellor Tony. Thank you. Thank you, Jorge. I appreciate that. And when was that? About 15 years ago. Right. Whatever. Kaisuke said huffily and turned away. What that should have said was, he said in a huff and turned away. Because huffily just sounds fucking stupid. The next few minutes passed in silence. With Kaisuke, one could never be sure if he was seriously offended or just pretending to be. Finally, Takumi concluded that there wouldn't be any terrible repercussions if he gave it a go. Kaisuke-san? What? Will there be a race against Kyoichi-san? Kaisuke's eyebrows crawled upward. The image of eyebrows crawling is strange. Where'd you get that from? Wasn't that why he met with Ryo-san 2 days ago? Nah, that meeting had nothing to do with racing. Guess Suduo was just feeling lonely, Kaisuke grinned. Bro and Suduo are very close after all. You get what I mean. Not really, Takumi admitted. Been at it for years, Kaisuke went on blithely. Except for the times when Suduo gets obsessed with proving to Reisuke's superiority as a driver and rushes off to practice and sulk. So, they are friends? Well, friends with benefits is the term, I believe. Oh, Takumi nodded in understanding. They compete, but still remain friends. It's great. Heisupi started at him impatiently. This kind of friends, okay? Oh, shit! Shit's about to get hot. He leaned in, grabbing Takumi by the chin, and planted a brief but firm kiss on his mouth. Shit's getting steamy. Kiwi ice cream is a thing. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. But I refuse to believe that it's a thing anybody would confuse with pistachio. What about pistachio? Yeah, pistachio ice cream's a thing. It's very common. A lot of people like it. I actually only tried pistachio ice cream this year, and it's pretty good. Oh, Jesus. This is gonna get good. Takumi froze. In his mind, the idea of Reisuke being gay was wearing for priority with the fact that he'd just been kissed by Takahashi Kaisuke, the latter one. You just... You got a problem with that? The ever-present challenging note in Kaisuke's voice rose up a notch or two. Oh, here, let me redo that then. You got a problem with that? See, he's raising up in notches. You know, maybe he's going through puberty. You never know with these kids. No. It occurred to Takumi a little too late that the question might have been referring not to his attitude towards homosexuality in general, but to the kiss itself. Good. Kaisuke patted him on the shoulder encouragingly and moved closer. So it was about the kiss after all. Takumi inwardly sighed. Now his only options were either to recall some urgent business he needed to attend to, or to go with the flow. Damn it! Why did he have to start asking Kaisuke about Suduo Kyochi? He should apologize now, and... Ryosuke didn't forbid you to have sex or something. Kaisuke was looking at him with false consideration. Takumi shook his head and immediately gasped as Kaisuke's hand slid down from his shoulder and landed on his crotch. Takumi decided that a retreat could wait. If it went too far, he would just punch Kaisuke and get away. Or you could just ask him politely. The second kiss lasted longer and involved a lot of touching. Until this moment, Takumi hadn't been aware that hands and legs played such an important role in kissing. It felt as if Kaisuke was all over him. Oh hell, he really was. Kaisuke's vigor and confidence never failed in forcing a response out of Takumi. That was how they raced, and how they operated within the team. Kaisuke pushed, and Takumi pushed right back. He wasn't even very much surprised when he found himself straddling Kaisuke's hips, ripping off Kaisuke's clothes faster than Kaisuke was undoing his. I don't know anything that's going on. I don't know about this anime. I'm a good Christian lad. I only watch Circle Square, the best show ever made. If you guys have never experienced the show Circle Square, by the way, go ahead and just give that a looky-loo on YouTube. It's great. It's a great, wholesome Christian show. It's got such beautiful songs that have... I can quote my favorite song from the show. Favorite quote from the show. Favorite quote of all time. Remember, God made a boy, a gal for every guy, an apple for every pie, and a gal for every guy. God made a apple for every pie and a girl for every gal for every guy. That's my favorite quote of all time because it's so fucking ridiculous. And I love it. Sneaking into the shower that evening and praying his father was asleep, Takumi began processing the day's revelations. It made sense in a way. Both brothers appeared quite indifferent when it came to girls. Their team members had speculated that the lack of reaction to the female gender was a natural defense against hordes of love-struck girls, but perhaps Ryosuke had other reasons to ignore his fans, while Kaisuke was merely copying his elder brother's behavior. Girls could be difficult. They wanted their boyfriends to be successful and admired their driving skills, but in the long run, they didn't understand why their boyfriends couldn't choose a different, less expensive and risky hobby. Takumi learned all those things from other racers' conversations, not personal experience, but he believed it nevertheless. Imagining Ryosuke engaging in anything but studying or working out new driving strategies felt odd. Imagining Ryosuke involved in romantic or sexual activities felt just plain wrong. When on earth did Ryusuke find time to date? And with this guy, Ryusuke and Kyoichi. Takumi had been so sure they couldn't stand each other. Then again, judging by the way that most street racers talked about their rivals, it was a miracle that they all managed to survive that long. Roads should have been crossed when the corpses of run-down enemies. Now that's a great thing. This is the good shit. Older brother, yeah, you know, you guys are giving me long description, you know, not even that long, just descriptions of who these people are. I don't know what's going on. They're gonna start fucking soon, though, I'm hoping. More importantly, why would Kaisuke be interested in a dork like Takumi? There was a stray thought that this would be used against him. Maybe to mock him in front of the team. Hey guys, look at this fucking nerd. I totally just fucking made out with him. What a loser. But he disregarded the possibility at once. Kaisuke never operated so underhandedly, and Takumi wouldn't feel much ashamed anyway. It felt good, and it wasn't illegal. His father was... Are you sure about that, kid? You sure the gay police won't get you? His father wouldn't care either, as long as Takumi left enough time for tofu deliveries. Did Kaisuke find him attractive? Takumi stared in the mirror. Not likely. Perhaps he was simply convenient. This theory seemed closer to the truth. If one ignored the fact that Takumi's very existence annoyed the hell out of Project D Driver No. 1, as Kaisuke liked to refer to himself. At dawn, Takumi was still awake and in search of a convincing interpretation of Kaisuke's actions. That's not a relationship. It's relaxation, Kaisuke scoffed, with some 3 months later at Takumi's attempt to define the form their interaction had taken. It's 3 months later? And nothing else has happened? You didn't have a talk? What the fuck? Alright. Okay. I think one character hangs herself in the manga. Yeah, it's probably the girl who, you know, didn't get to fuck Kaisuke because he's too gay. Hey guys, man, you picked a weird stream to just pop in 17 minutes in, let me tell you. Takumi blinked. Their amazingly regular and frequent romps drew more energy out of him than most battles he'd participated in so far. Trust Kaisuke to consider these exercises relaxing. Okay, so they have been fucking. Alright. He wasn't really offended by Kaisuke's refusal to use the term itself. He wasn't some insecure, needy girl, and besides, Kaisuke rejected far more attractive offers on the pretext of needing to completely concentrate on his driving. While Takumi didn't know what qualities were normally anticipated in a lover, he was confident that driving skills weren't supposed to be on the list, and this was probably his only quality no girl could compete with. Although, this was Takahashi Kaisuke, who made friends and enemies on the basis of what cars these people owned and how fast they would drive them. So maybe Takumi did have a serious advantage. Has he got a super fast car? Is he a rich boy? Also, the not a relationship remained monogamous all this time. Takumi already knew Kaisuke's schedule down to a minute and had no doubt of that, and continued far longer than Takumi would have thought possible, given Kaisuke's claim of independence. It continued long enough to go past blind fumbling and grabbing, which was all about making themselves feel good right here and right now, and reach the stage where they agreed on where and when to proceed, so that they'd have an hour or two to laze around afterwards without disturbance. Long enough for their teammates to start smirking meaningfully every time one of them announced that they would practice a bit more, just the two of them. Long enough for Takumi to stop wincing while taking the car seat after their one-on-one practices and develop a habit of keeping extra clothes in the car, usually something high-collared. Oh boy. See, this is called subtlety. Where you just directly state that your character's getting fucked so hard in the asshole that he has difficulty sitting down. That's subtlety. If that wasn't a relationship, if getting fucked in the ass every day isn't a relationship, it must be something very much like it. You know? With a deep contented sigh, Kaisuke slid off him and flopped on the bed, stomach down. Move, he commanded, and shoved Takumi lightly. For one dreadfully unpleasant moment, Takumi thought that he was being kicked out of the bed, before realizing that it was simply in order to free up some space. He hastily scooted away. It's too hot to cling like that, Kaisuke complained in belated clarification. When is Raisuke-san coming home? More often than not, Kaisuke dragged Takumi to his house, usually empty, till late evening when the Takahashi family members would begin to gather, and today was no exception. Takumi preferred to avoid unnecessary public exposure, though he didn't delude himself into thinking that Ryosuke was unaware of what was going on between his brother and Takumi. Not for another 2 hours. And please, would you quit calling him that? I understand that bro's driving you into respectful stupor, but that's making me feel like I'm corrupting a minor. That's yucky. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. By the way, if you ever call me Kaisuke-san again, I'll repaint your car pink, he added as an afterthought. I don't think the guy getting fucked this hard in the ass is gonna care if his car is painted pink. You know, forgive me for making an assumption, you know, but I feel like he ain't gonna care. Takumi shivered, both from the mental picture and from the knowledge that yes, Kaisuke was fully capable of that. He frowned. Curses. Promises to leave him behind in the dust and mockery of 86 were acceptable before and after the battles when everybody was too hyped up to think straight. Takumi was sure he didn't want to know what profanities were sent to his and 86's address from his rival's cars during the battle. But they weren't in the race now, whether it was a relationship or not, and Takumi was inclined to say that it looked a lot like one, regardless of how Kaisuke preferred to categorize it. They were supposed to be nicer to each other, at least after sex, not threaten each other's cars. I think it was a joke. He turned on his side, facing the young man stretched next to him, and looked up and down the limp body. His eyes lingered on Kaisuke's back, bright red from falling asleep on the roof under the summer sun. Desperate times required desperate measures, right? And he needed to make his point. Cars were sacred. That's amazing. With that, Takumi lowered his hand onto the relaxed back and ran it all the way down, from the shoulders to the buttocks, driving his nails into the skin. Hard. The scream that action produced would have made any torture expert proud. Not waiting for retaliation, Takumi flattened himself on top of the squirming victim. Now listen, my 86 is off limits. Nobody's painting it pink, and any other color. Touch it, and you're dead. Even though we've been dating for several months already. He paused. Is that clear, Kaisuke-san? Wow. Wow, look at him. He's a power bottom. He's a power bottom right now. Tony, why didn't you tell me you were talking about Initial D? It's my favorite. What can I say? It's time to talk about some Initial D gay fan fiction. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. He's a power bottom. He's a fucking power bottom now. If you got power bottom is someone who's the, you know, he's the bottom, but he's still in control, you know? Oh my lord. Well, I hope you guys had a good time. That was a wacky as fuck stream. I hope that you guys had a good time. I know this is a real impromptu short one, you know. Occasionally I'll throw out an impromptu short fan fiction reading. I hope you guys had a good time, and I'll see you on the next stream.